Okay, hello everybody. I am just getting all of our streams set up at the moment, getting our stream set up on Instagram, done, and now on TikTok. Give me just 1 minute here. Trying to go live on 7 different platforms. And once again, TikTok having a little bit of an issue. Let's see what we got here. There we go. And all 7 seem to be up and running, I believe. Now, tonight we have this, I was scrolling through my feed and I was going to do a piece on all the new stuff that I saw coming out, but I saw this one video and I just had to come on and kind of showcase this video of this guy that went to a protest that's being held, and they're protesting against Donald Trump. So obviously it's a bunch of liberals, and it is absolutely hilarious because this guy goes to the protest, right? He's got his microphone with him, and he's going through and he's asking everybody questions. And it's funny that not one person at these protests can answer the most basic of questions. And not for nothing, but I mean, have all the liberals just become brainwashed dum-dums? I don't know any other word. Just absolute insanity. I was going through, I only made it through maybe about 10 minutes of this video, but I couldn't believe the answers that some of these people were given. And it's like, what is going on in your brain? But let me start this up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This guy's at a protest.
See what it's like to deal with discrimination and hate? Be a conservative at a liberal event. That's crazy. You can look for this on X, Elon Musk platform.
I quit X when that prick bought it because it's like a Nazi platform.
Yes,
now.
A Nazi platform.
It certainly is. You should check it out.
X is a Nazi platform. You know, all the Nazis that are out there. Millions and millions of people that belong to X, and they're all Nazis.
Other networks lie to you about what's happening now. InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next.
You're on TikTok with us. Hello, hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's President's Day in Austin, Texas, and we're here at the Texas Capitol in downtown Austin. Owen Schroeder.
This is in Texas of all places. Absolutely hilarious.
Since we've been out to one of these leftist protests, let me fill you in. It's the National Protest Call to Action. Oh, no King's Day. No King's Day, President's Day, this 17th of February 2025. It is noon right now at the Texas State Capitol, and 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. Nos levantamos juntos. We rise together. And
we
so
rise
this is a
together.
Big protest for President's Day. They're rejecting the election of President Trump. It's some of the same stuff we saw in
Rejecting the election?
2017.
You're not allowed to do that.
These protesters are evolving. It's not just your typical blue hair, funny looking. They've got apparel now. And it seems that the
blue-haired,
have professional
funny
apparel
looking
that somebody is selling. Now, they're already cheering and getting them all wound up.
Is that what liberals have become now? Is that what we think that they are? Blue-haired, funny somethings?
Completely unhinged when we ask them basic questions. We got a sign over here. In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept fascist America. Do you believe you're in a fascist America? What is fascist about America?
Ask her.
Who are you with? I can't answer that question.
Journalist. Independent of. I haven't even.
We
said
can't
it.
answer
I've
that
asked you a
question.
basic
We just.
question.
We just make signs.
So how do you feel about abortion then?
I reject your question.
What about chopping
I can't
up little
answer
boys
your
and girls'
question.
Private parts. How do you feel
I
about
don't
that?
want to look dumb.
Reject your question.
We're not talking to them. We're not talking to you.
I know you're not. You can't talk to anybody about your movement. Can't answer a basic question. So let's go right down the line. I bet I go 0 for 3 here. Why is America fascist?
I reject your question.
0 for 1. 0 for 1.
Why is America fascist? You're calling America fascist, but you can't answer a basic question about why is America
Are you a
fascist.
WNBA fan?
Humanity first.
No. I tried to get a bonus out of it. Very intimidating stuff.
We got
Is
Chance.
this a gay pride event?
It's a humanity event.
A humanity event.
Yes.
Who doesn't have rights?
Oh, these guys are selling flags.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I don't as a woman. As
You
a
don't?
minority.
What rights?
She doesn't have rights as a woman.
Kill a
Imagine that.
that I'm growing inside my body.
That's true. You don't have the right to kill a
Okay,
person.
well-
That's
You
true.
don't have a right to kill a
I have the
person.
exact same rights you have.
No, you have more.
Well, I can't.
He has more
What,
rights.
you think you have more?
No, I
She-
don't think I have more. You think I have
She
more.
just said he.
You have
This is
more.
how
So explain that.
brain dead.
Explain history to you. Your founding fathers.
What year is it?
Exactly. It's 2025.
We still haven't broken
And
At least she knew what year it was.
Curses? What curses? Am I cursed?
that the white men have put on us.
The white man
put
curse.
On
white
us
people
of
don't
color.
exist. Your existence is based on genocide. That's why you're here trying
Really?
to find
Existence is
Answers?
based on
because of
genocide.
And so you want
Interesting.
of our
Oh.
culture.
Really? Like, can I get a mushroom to wear on my head?
Absolutely. You know where I got it from? One of your corporations.
I'm guessing. So that's white culture then.
No, mushrooms are fungus and they belong to the
Are these
human
people
You
for
said you
real?
got it From my corporation. I don't know what corporation you're talking about. Are you sure that's not a Mario head invented by a Japanese company?
It represents Luigi who killed the CEO.
You know what?
Okay.
They also.
Oh, you like murderers?
I love it.
She says she loves
Much better culture than white.
murderers.
Yeah, that's funny
Is she
because they don't
okay?
take any immigrants. Did you know that? It's one of the most homogeneous cultures on earth. Did you
And
know
she's
that?
flying a Mexican
Empire
flag.
Is a thing to be studied.
All right. Wow. You are really. You know what? I'll give you credit. At least you'll talk. I'm getting emotional.
Yeah.
So you can't answer the simple question: what rights do I have that you don't?
They
as
give
a man,
Mexicans
white American,
bad name, man.
So go ahead.
You
How many times do I have to
go around
ask?
the park
For those that don't know, I'm Mexican American
You're
from
a
my mother's
mushroom
side.
head.
And I can't wear a mushroom hat?
That's my point.
Third generation
You
American,
control-
by
no,
the way.
point is, you can do anything I can do.
Right now over a mushroom hat.
You guys have a wonderful day. You
They're
wanna
not
be on
allowed.
TV?
They're not allowed to do certain
what are you
things.
doing out
They
here?
can't go to the park. That's what they said.
Protest?
Why?
Read your shirt. Girls just want to have fun.
Yeah, your shirt.
Rights. And this is
Read your shirt.
taking away my children's rights.
What rights
Taking
are we
away their
taking?
right.
Access to basic health care for women. such
Like
as
what? What basic health care?
Abortion, obviously.
You think that's basic health care?
Abortion is health care.
You think killing a baby is health care?
It's not killing a baby, honey. It's taking care of your body in the way that you choose to.
How many hearts does a human being have?
One.
One. Right. So how many hearts does a
Uh-oh.
woman have?
Walk
with a
away.
baby inside
Walk
her?
away. Yep, exactly. Walk away.
It's a fetus.
Two. You
She
have a
can't get
heartbeat?
into
You have
a
heartbeat after 2
conversation
months.
about real
Heartbeat after 2
stuff.
months. I've been to so many of these events. I've not met one of you that can hold a conversation. So
Not
what are
one.
you doing out here?
Oh, we got a wizard.
I'm coming to protest the illegal takeover of the U.S. government.
What was illegal?
Well,
Illegal
let's see.
takeover.
First off, we have him, Trump letting Elon Musk actually dissolve entire U.S. departments that were mandated by Congress and put into law.
What department has been dissolved?
Well, let's see. They're going into USAID. That got
USAID.
Yeah, so all the fraud and the waste.
none discovered.
None discovered. Look at, I mean, what is wrong with these people? Seriously, they have to deny reality in everything. There's not just man and woman. You have to deny reality. You have to create your own delusions. What is wrong with these people? There's none. There's no fraud. There's no shenanigans going on.
None discovered. So shrimp on treadmills, gay performances, trans performances.
Shrimp on treadmills.
Liar. Bye.
Liar, bye. I can't have a conversation when you start bringing up truth.
The border, but what about the one that's currently in the White House who's been convicted?
He has
Not
been
convicted of rape. These people have no idea what they're talking about.
Grab her by the pussy.
So that's not what he said. He said when you're famous, women let you grab them by the pussy. That's what
Boom.
he actually said.
So, just generally, in what world do you think that's okay for someone?
Okay, in what world do you think that's okay? When girls are with girls and they're chatting, they say some pretty nasty stuff. When guys are with guys and they're chatting, yeah, they say some pretty nasty stuff. That's the world. You don't want a person in the White House? I'm sure Joe Biden has said some pretty nasty things when it's just him and his buddies. That's what people do.
I wouldn't waste your time on him. He's going to edit your shit.
Yeah,
so it looks like
This is all.
Edit.
This is all being filmed live.
It's live.
lovely.
So what are you doing here?
I'm here to tell you to get away.
But what are you actually doing here? You didn't know I would be here. So what are you actually doing here?
Protest against Trump.
Why don't you like Trump?
Because he's not helping. He's kicking people out of our country who deserve to be here.
How,
They
what does that
deserve
mean,
to be here.
They get to be here because they're citizens. He's trying to.
They're not. They're literally not.
Okay, do you see the absolute just derangement? These people are saying Trump is kicking out citizens. At no point does Trump kick out citizens at all. If you're in this country illegally, well, usually when you come to this country and you have to sneak in, you realize that you're taking a risk. That's what most people do. When they come here maybe to make some money, send it back home, and then go back home. And they can usually build a pretty good life back home by taking the money from here, because when you convert the dollar to whatever currency they have, for example, in Brazil, it's I think it's six reais to a dollar. So you can actually your dollar goes a lot further in these countries. And let's not even talk about pesos. But that is what's being talked about here, people. This is just straight asinine. People just don't have any idea what they're talking about. They're out here protesting. They have no idea what they're even protesting. All they know is that the TV says, I got to hate Trump. They've been conditioned to have this emotional reaction to a man, and they don't even realize that the conditioning is part of a programming operation. And the only thing I can think of is Operation Mockingbird. And for those of you who know or have ever looked into Allen Dulles when he ran the CIA and the different things that they did under his regime, things like MK Ultra, LSD, those things, I mean, these people just seem like they have lost their full sense of reality.
Citizens. Not a single citizen has been kicked out.
Well, he's trying to clock it.
Yep. See, she has to stop.
You guys haven't answered a single question.
Not a single citizen has been kicked out.
All right, go ahead.
She drapes herself in the Mexican flag.
What rights do we not have that you have?
None.
No, you can't.
And now we got this guy with this Palestinian.
I believe abortion is murder.
Why so?
Okay, this is what they do. I need to block your camera now.
To be pregnant.
They can't answer questions.
All you do is last 30 seconds to bust.
No, actually, less than 1% of abortions are from rape.
No, you bust nut in.
What are you doing? All right, buddy. Can you leave my cameraman alone? You're clearly a deranged person. Can you just leave him alone? All right.
Should not even be here.
You're clearly a deranged person.
I shouldn't even be here? That's kind of racist too, don't you think?
No, it's not racist. It's you as a person, not as a color, not as a
So
gender.
you do understand there's a difference between an immigrant and an illegal alien, right?
Right.
Do you understand that?
I don't think she does.
I call them undocumented.
So you disagree
Oh,
with the law?
I don't call them illegal. I call them undocumented. It's the same thing.
Okay, again, you know an immigrant is a legal citizen. You do understand that, right?
Yeah.
Yours did.
Really? When did my people come?
I have no idea, but
So you have no
Your
idea, but
people.
She seems to know everything.
Are you with Dictator Douchebag?
Who is it?
Are you with Dictator Douchebag?
Who's that?
You know who that
Dictator
is. You know
douchebag.
exactly who.
Am I with Dictator Douchebag?
Yeah, are you?
Who's that?
You know who
I'm here. I'm here with my cameraman.
You know who that is, Mr.
Yeah, they don't
SS.
talk about their ancestors, right? Because they certainly were not born
I see your
here.
brown shirt. You don't fool me. And your little Nazi haircut.
Hey, where did you get that
Nazi
wonderful hat?
haircut, dude.
I got it at. Oh, I got it at.
Oh, wait a minute. I've seen
in
him.
Washington D.C. because look, man, this is work. Okay, this is a full-time job. I'm not like some armchair quarterback, like some resistance lib that just tweets and platitudes for no reason. No, I'm doing the work, and I'm going to these protests, and I'm making my voice heard, and that's where I got this inclusive hat.
I've actually seen this guy.
Yeah, I really, my whole goal out here is to make you look stupid.
Seriously, don't.
I just want to make you look stupid.
What she doesn't realize, I think this guy's just a joker.
What's wrong with me? You know that's a friend of mine. He's trolling you. That's
Right.
my friend.
That's exactly right.
That's funny, isn't it? Yeah, keep filming this crazy.
We don't believe in fascism. Yet not one of them can answer a question as to how is it fascist here?
There should be room for everybody.
Not engaged.
Oh, like
Well, we can't talk to him because he's asking us questions that we can't answer. We have to use our brains.
It probably is best to ignore him.
They can't ignore me.
This is insanity, man.
Yes.
Is this thing even real? This thing isn't real.
How can they not even like have a question? Like they can't even answer a question.
Let go of the mic. Oh!
Don't feed the troll.
Better than that? Come on! Come on!
Don't feed the troll is the chant that you give when you can't answer questions.
What's up, bro?
You don't have the
Good to see you, man.
any.
How you doing?
So this is the guy, if you guys don't know. They got me into all of this. If it wasn't for him.
This is why they got their butts kicked in the last election. They have nothing to stand on except for lies and propaganda.
First, I don't have access to appropriate medical care.
So you're talking about abortion. Let's just say what it is. It's abortion. So what right?
Appropriate medical care. Why is it only white women that are out here? 70% of abortions are done by blacks and Hispanics. And we only make up 28% of the population, people.
I publish all over the place, all over the internet.
Where can we look for this?
You can look for this on X, Elon Musk platform.
Okay, let me give you guys a little history lesson. Margaret Sanger, who's touted heavily by the left and mostly by whites, she was a white woman. She also used to go to KKK rallies to pitch her ideas. And what were her ideas? To slow down the reproduction of blacks and Hispanics. Why? Because they didn't want inferior races to outproduce them. Look at the platform of the Democrats. They want same sex, right? Why? Because same sex doesn't reproduce. They want abortion. Why? Because abortion doesn't reproduce. It cuts down on the population. They want transgender. Why? Because they want to mutilate you so that you can't what? Reproduce. Understand who the party has become. They have been invaded, okay? And I don't know if this is a communist idea where the communists came over and just invaded the party. I know it never really used to be like this, not like this anyway, where people can't even answer basic questions. I don't care if you're for abortion or against abortion, but at least be able to answer a question as to why you're for or against it. With Margaret Sanger, she pitched these ideas at KKK rallies and ended up securing funding from the Rockefeller Foundation with a grant. And the grant that the Rockefeller Foundation gave her was a eugenics grant. And that, if you don't know what eugenics is, people, you might want to do a little research. You see, everybody knows about Charles Darwin, but they don't know about Charles Darwin's cousin. Charles Darwin gave us On the Origin of Species. Well, On the Origin of Species is really only the first half of the first name of the book. That's what everybody knows it by. You would actually have to open up the book and read it to know that it actually has two names. And the first name of the book is On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, which is where we get natural selection from. And then there is the other name of the book. The other name of the book is, and this is the book, by the way, that gave us the whole idea of evolution. You know, you come from a monkey. The other name of that book that says that you came from a monkey is The Preservation of Favored Races. Look it up, people. Do a little homework. Do a little research. Understand what it is that this party stands for, what their platform is, and what they're trying to do. Margaret Sanger, when she secured this funding, this eugenics funding, which eugenics being founded by Darwin's cousin, you see, the reason we even know about evolution really has more to do with Francis Galton than it does Charles Darwin. Francis Galton took some of the things that Darwin noticed in nature, and he took that and created these ideas of gene pools. You know, if you had a family of criminals, you had a couple of criminals in your family, you probably came from a bad gene pool. And that bad gene pool, we really have to make sure that that bad gene pool that you have doesn't multiply. So what did they do? They started sterilizing people. Those sterilization laws were on the books here in the United States in the 1920s. We had people who became some of the top scientists called eugenicists, and guess what the United States did? We exported our top eugenicists. Guess what country we exported them to? Oh, if you guessed Germany, that's right. We exported them to Germany to advise a man by the name of Adolf Hitler. Oh, Adolf Hitler. Wait a minute. Eugenics, they went and advised Adolf Hitler, who is this fascist that they're screaming in the streets about, this Nazism that they're screaming about, that they're claiming that Trump is the one who is Nazi and fascist. But wait a minute. They're screaming about abortion in the streets because they have no idea about history. You see, the eugenics funding, this idea, okay? Hitler used evolution. He took the school books out of the schools and he put in evolution. He wanted the Germans to believe that they were the most advanced species on the planet. And if you're the most advanced species on the planet, you deserve to inherit the planet. And you know what? He told all the older generation who didn't agree with him. What did he tell them? He said, I don't need you to agree with me. Your children will. And your children are going to learn this in the schools, which is the exact same thing that the Democrats are doing with the Department of Education, which is why we're gutting it and which is why we're getting rid of it. But they took this, Hitler took this idea, this concept, and he put it into the school books so that the kids would grow up with this idea of what? That they are superior. And with this feeling of superiority, they deserve to inherit the earth. And that's why you see with the concepts of evolution, where instead of God creating you, instead of everybody being equal, what was it? There were monkeys and there were men. And the monkeys became men. And in that story of how monkeys became men, what did they say? They said, oh, the darker your skin, the closer you are to the animal kingdom, right? Is that correct? Is that how all of that came about? Is that what evolution is supposed to be? Is that what it was? The preservation of favored races, eugenics, all of these people that taught this stuff, they went to Germany and advised Hitler. And everybody knows what Hitler did. If you're a liberal right now and you're watching this, think about what you're out in the streets talking about. You really have no clue. None. Zero. You're out there in the streets talking about Trump being fascist, Trump being racist, yet here, the most racist man of all time, being Adolf Hitler, stands on a platform, and I'm going to show you real quick how abortion came from that platform because of eugenics. You see, Margaret Sanger took money from the Rockefeller Foundation. It was a grant for eugenics, and she was at the KKK rallies pitching these ideas that created, when she got the money secured, she created the American Birth Control League. And do you know what the American Birth Control League became? Well, it became Planned Parenthood. Is it anybody's wonder why it's always white women out here pushing this whole concept that it's a woman's right to kill her children? To kill her children. Oh, this is in the Bible. They used to sacrifice children all the time. All this is Baal worship. If you want to get biblical, that's all this is. This is sacrificing children to Baal. But you don't want to hear that. The reality is everything, and if you want to really get down to brass tacks, you can look at who his other advisors were, Hitler's other advisors. If you get Madame Blavatsky was one of his advisors. You want to go down a rabbit hole, take a look at her. Now, with Margaret Sanger creating the American Birth Control League and then the American Birth Control League becoming Planned Parenthood, these ideas, these concepts being pitched at KKK rallies to help keep the numbers down of the undesirables. The people that they didn't want reproducing, that they didn't want to reproduce at a rate faster than whites. Yeah, that's not Republican. That is fascist. But guess what? Guess what party still buys into those same ideas and those same concepts and packages them up and sells them to you? And the only reason you're buying them is because you probably grew up in one of their school systems and you were indoctrinated using Operation Mockingbird's formula, where they went in and they took over the news media so they could control the narratives. They infiltrated Hollywood so that they control what you get in the movies. News, print, media, every single faction of entertainment. And if you look, if you do a little research on Disney, I should probably do a whole piece. I could do a whole piece on Disney and all the symbolism that is in their programs. But I'll save that for another day. But I mean, these people have no idea. 70% of abortions are done by blacks and Hispanics, and we only make up 28% of the population, people. There's a reason for that. And it's always these white women who are out in the streets saying, yeah, we need This is what we need. Do we? Are you so brain dead that you don't see what the entire scheme is? They want to mutilate your genitalia so you can't reproduce. They want you to kill your babies voluntarily so you can't reproduce. They want same-sex marriage so you can't reproduce. Now, you can adopt. Adoption's great. But the whole purpose of that party, that whole platform, is the annihilation of the population of this country. They're tearing it down from within. Why do you think they're up in arms about Elon Musk going in and finding all of this money that is being siphoned out and stolen from us? And what is it doing? When he started breaking down USAID, where was it going? It was going to fund these programs. It was going to fund all of this stuff, not just here in the United States, in other countries as well. Think about this. They're even funding political campaigns with taxpayer money. Political campaigns, not just in the United States, in other countries. Viktor Orlov in, is that his name? I think it is, in Hungary. How did in 2014, we paid to overthrow, with Victoria Nuland, we paid to overthrow a democratically elected president of Ukraine. We did that. You want to understand why Russia might be a little bit upset? Aside from the fact that Ukraine was siphoning natural gas out of the pipelines that they had, that Russia has running through Ukraine, delivering natural gas to Europe. But that's another ballgame. I did a piece on that 10 years ago. Now let's get back to how absolutely brain dead these people have become. It's like it's a party of brain dead people. People who can't think for themselves, who have, it's been drilled into their head that history is bad. Get rid of history. Of course, get rid of history. They don't want you to know everything that they've done. Think about this for a minute. The Democrat Party, not one Democrat voted to free the slaves. Not only that, do you know why not one Democrat voted to free the slaves? Because the Democrats created the KKK. They created the KKK. And here's the party that once the Republicans were able to free the slaves and win the war, Abraham Lincoln with the Emancipation Proclamation, and just so you know, I am not a Republican. I wouldn't support people like George Bush. I wouldn't support people like Dick Cheney. They're just as bad. They're warmongers. They were doing the same exact thing with the military-industrial complex. Those are the same people that I'm warning you about here, these fascists, these communists. They're the same types of people. And yes, George Bush's family, if you ever look up Prescott Bush, he was the head of the Union Banking Corporation. His father-in-law, George Herbert Walker, which is where George Herbert Walker Bush got his name from. And Junior, everybody calls Junior, isn't really Junior. He's George Walker Bush. And there's also a George Prescott Bush, which happens to be his brother's son. His brother, you might know him as Jeb. His name isn't Jeb. His name is John. Jeb is an acronym for his name. His name is John Ellis Bush. He was the governor of Florida when the Republicans cheated in that election. The person who was in charge of George Bush's campaign, her name was Katherine Harris. And what was Katherine Harris's job? Well, she was the Secretary of State in Florida. That means she's in charge of counting the votes and making sure that the that Chad voted the right way. Everybody, if anybody remembers that election, everybody down in Florida, everybody was hanging with Chad. That's what it was all about back then. It was hanging Chads. Hanging Chads, dimpled Chads. Does that Chad have a mark on it? Elections in this country have become questionable. And I use that word loosely. I mean, can we even trust the elections anymore? Don't get me wrong. I am an independent, but I am glad that the Democrats didn't win. And I don't know if I like Trump as much because of who he is. I don't like the person he is. He's not a Christian, although he definitely protects Christian values. I'm not saying he has Christian values. I'm saying he protects them. But I don't know. When we look at the old school Republican Party, and you look, in order for Donald Trump to even make it onto the scene, he had to beat some of the most powerful people in politics. He first had to beat the Bushes on the Republican Party. He then had to he knew he didn't run as a Democrat because he knew he wasn't going to beat Hillary Clinton in that primary. As it was in that primary, in my opinion, Bernie Sanders should have been the candidate, not Hillary Clinton. But I think the Democrats kind of hung themselves when they cheated Bernie Sanders out of that nomination. And they went with Hillary Clinton, thinking that she would wrap up that whole election because, one, she would be the first woman, and she had clout of the Clinton last name, having a husband who was previously our president. But no, Donald Trump went through the Bushes. He had to beat John Ellis, or Jeb, and he absolutely destroyed him, made him look like a clown in the primaries, and then came out and did the same exact thing to Hillary. And what's absolutely astounding is, if you remember that election, the Democrats sunk a ton of money into Donald Trump's campaign during the primaries. They wanted him to win because they thought he would be the easiest to beat. So they sunk a ton of money. And now we know where that money was coming from. It was coming from taxpayers' pockets. We just found out that taxpayer money goes from, Congress writes what's going to transpire with all of the money, and some of it gets earmarked here, some of it gets earmarked there. All the money that goes to USAID, now USAID takes the money that they get, and what do they do with it? They give it to George Soros. George Soros, he just happens to be the number one donor for the Democrat Party. And this man received $260 million? Taxpayer dollars? For what? Oh, so he can fund the campaigns of all of these district attorneys who are what? Allowing criminals to go free. All of these immigrants who are committing crimes, release them. These people are trying to systematically destroy this country. And they're just doing it, starting with all of these, what we now call liberals. This was not a liberal when I was a kid. I was liberal when I was a kid. But this is not liberal. I never would have stood for any of this crap. This is brainwashing to the highest degree. I mean, at what point would you ever think that people can't even define a woman? It is absolute insanity, people. And this is what has taken over the left. This is what the Democrat Party has become, and this is why they just got obliterated in the last election. And now we're seeing it on full display here in the streets with these people who are out here thinking that they're protesting against Trump for being a fascist, and all they're out there touting reproductive rights, When reproductive rights, the whole thing of reproductive rights, all the money to even start that project came from eugenics, which the top eugenicist from the United States went over to advise Hitler. And those advisors are what made Hitler the beast that he was. Understand, these people don't have any clue about history, about anything about what they're talking about. It's dumbfounding. I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I'm gonna play the video again. I got a rant on this stuff.
An X account.
I don't look at X. I quit X when that prick bought it because it's like a Nazi platform now.
It's a Nazi platform?
Yeah, it certainly is. You should check it out.
I don't know how it's a Nazi platform.
I'll tell you how. Oh, have you not been on there?
I'm on there all the time.
Then you must.
Hello, Mark Willis. I just saw your comments on here. My
read it, friend.
I do read it. I read it for news. I just get news.
my list wasn't on comments, so I just started seeing it.
No, I get news
Love what you're
everywhere.
saying on here, man. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Everywhere. Fox, CNN, MSNBC.
Boiling Point Podcast.
I've not been doing this very long, no.
I see you.
Inform me.
Just the fact that you don't realize that X is a pro-Nazi platform.
Pro-Nazi platform. X is a pro-Nazi platform.
Well, you keep saying read it, but what does that mean?
Elon Musk is
Elon Musk is a Nazi.
You know Elon Musk?
Elon Musk is a Nazi.
Jewish children?
Great.
These people have no idea what they're talking about.
You gotta do your.
Did you know he has Jewish children? What?
What do you not know?
He doesn't care about who?
His children, his Jewish children.
He doesn't care about
He
his
doesn't care
Jewish
about them. He
children.
just takes care of them and hangs out with them and sees them.
He doesn't even hang out with them, you know. Half of them.
Is that one for a human shield?
Yeah,
He doesn't
exactly.
even hang. He uses them for a human shield.
Start hating Elon Musk.
He has a trans daughter and he doesn't recognize.
He got into the treasury and had his little minions hack our.
When he got into the treasury and started realizing that they were stealing a ton of money. That's what they hate Elon Musk for.
Nothing is.
That is pure brainwashing.
How do you tell us more about that?
Okay. Would you like me to tell you? So the Department of Government Efficiency is going into all the different funding data. They're going into all of it, and they're finding hundreds of billions of fraud. Is what they're finding.
They found no fraud.
They found no fraud.
They found no fraud.
So how old what's the average age for somebody to live?
Oh, you're talking about the 150-year.
What on earth, man?
That's not fraud, dude.
So paying somebody
That's not
150
fraud.
years old Social Security
That's
isn't
not fraud.
Well, they're not. How do you know they're paying it?
Because they're in the system.
So what?
What Doge is doing is fine, but release the actual data.
It is every day.
The data. So for those of you that don't know, the data for that is released. I'm going to pull up the website for you before this broadcast is over. I want to say it's usaspending.gov.
Show the actual proof.
Yeah.
Line item.
It's happening every day. Yeah.
You can
Let's
see
here's
it.
your data on Social Security.
My dad.
Here's 1,000 people above age 20.
That's not proof.
That's not proof.
This is literally the Social Security data sheet.
Bunch of numbers listed.
This is literally the Social Security data sheet. We're paying over 1,000 people.
That's not proof.
20 Social Security.
There was no proof of the 2020 election being stolen.
Years old, sir.
There's no proof that the virus
See, that's what it is.
was born in a lab. There's no proof that
What's wrong with Project 2025?
Fauci helped to fund it.
Robin, yes. For starters, the anti-immigrant stance.
Who's anti-immigrant?
Trump is going to try to troll you.
Wait, how is?
Yeah, they can't. They can't. Look at all these people going up and being like, yeah, don't. You're going to get exposed. You're going to get exposed. At least, like, that's kind of funny. The cowbell. I'll give them that. At least they're creative as far as how to be disruptive.
Want it?
No.
Sure. So.
Yeah, come on, man.
There you go, buddy.
So you just littered.
Come on, man.
You just littered. He's like, you just littered.
What about Musk? What don't you like about Musk?
Awful person.
He's also a thug, and he's not.
He's a thug.
He's a brainless.
He's a thug.
All all the people that aren't elected.
He should just let all these politicians just rape this country, continue to rape this country, continue to take all of our taxpayer money.
In modern American history.
You think so?
I do, yeah.
Do you? I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
I'm sorry for you.
Why?
Because you're deluded.
Hey, man.
How am I deluded?
Yes, Bernie Sanders is a socialist. I just saw that that comment, Mark.
Need an awful person for president?
So what's
Somebody
awful?
that looks awful. Someone that's rude and nasty and has no redeeming qualities?
I wasn't saying, just to clarify on that.
Who's racist?
Hang on 1 second. Just to clarify on that, I wasn't saying that I supported Bernie Sanders. I was saying clearly that I believe that Bernie Sanders won that primary and that he should have been the candidate for the Democrats in the 2016 election. There's a lot of my friends that are Democrats. They say the same thing. Almost everybody I know supported Bernie Sanders. Nobody supported Hillary Clinton. Hardly anybody. And Hillary Clinton came out winning that. And one of the reasons why Trump did so well in that election was because a lot of the Bernie people were turned off and they didn't go and vote. They didn't go and cast their vote because they were so angry at the Democrats for stealing that election. And then the Republicans shot themselves in the foot the election right before that with Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney, the same exact thing happened with him, where the Democrats ended up putting Hillary Clinton up when the nominee probably should have been Bernie Sanders. The Republicans shot themselves in the foot in the election just before that in 2012, I think it was, with Mitt Romney. And Mittens was selected by the Republican committee. And I say selected because the way that the delegate system works, most people have no idea how the delegate system works. But you have bound and unbound delegates. And when those delegates go to the convention, some of them have to vote a certain way, but many of them can vote where they want to. And a lot of what we were seeing in that primary, Ron Paul was more than likely going to win that primary. And I remember there being a busload of people that were being driven around the convention while everybody was trying to vote on changing the rules, which John Bonner got up on stage and changed the rules during that convention. And not for nothing, it was a yay or nay. And I'll tell you what, it definitely sounded like Ron Paul had the yays. And John Bonner, if I remember correctly, this was a long time ago, but if I remember correctly, Bonner was up on stage and there was a teleprompter, and the teleprompter said who won before he even called for who was, yay or nay. And the teleprompter said that Mitt Romney's yays had it, that they were louder, that there were more people in favor of that. There was no hand vote. It was all based on what they heard. And John Bonner at the Republican convention changed the rules of the delegate system so that Mitt Romney would win. And the reason why Mitt Romney did not win that election against Barack Obama, well, I don't think, even if they didn't do that, I don't think anybody was going to beat Obama in that election. But there's a lot of people that didn't vote for Mitt Romney. I'll tell you what, I remember voting in that election, and I wrote in Ron Paul's name for president. And now take a look at what the Trump administration is doing. Ron Paul is advising on some of the stuff going on with the Fed, and I'll tell you what, there's a pretty decent outcry to make Ron Paul the next Fed chairman, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. But we'll see if that happens. Let's get back to the video here.
Who do you think is racist?
I don't have to.
Why?
You really didn't need to explain that to him?
Yeah, Mark. Once brainwashed, always brainwashed. These people just can't. They can't turn their common sense on. They can't learn.
Can you tell me what
This is public schooling right here. Public schooling has been turned into nothing but brainwashing.
There you go. That's much better. You can't ignore me.
That noise that you're hearing is my TikTok continuing to disconnect.
So this is what happens in cults, actually.
You know all about that.
You have people that tell you who you can and can't talk to, and they'll try to stop you from talking to somebody that has a different idea. Yeah.
He's right. That's exactly what happens in cults. But look, these people.
I hope so.
That's why I hope that she would give me the megaphone.
This guy's been here this whole time, and not one person can hold a conversation with him.
Now, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Come on. I've had people banging cowbells in my ear for the last hour.
He wants attention, so everybody turn away and he'll leave.
I asked that.
Everybody turn away and he'll leave.
Like to deal with discrimination and hate. Be a conservative at a liberal event.
Be a conservative at a liberal event. Racist, go home. These people can't even answer a single question. All they're doing is repeating propaganda. Do they even understand? Like, I'm curious. Do they even understand that it's propaganda? That they're being programmed with this stuff in their brains, and all they're doing is repeating it. And that's why they can't answer a single question about it. They won't forget January 6th. January 6th, where they all say that all of these police officers died. Didn't happen, by the way.
Nobody's coming for immigrants. Nobody's coming for immigrants.
Coming for immigrants. At least she's talking.
This is insane, man. So
at least she's talking, though.
So here's the deal. So things were getting a little hot in there. The troopers didn't want me to stick around. That's fine. I'm not trying to make their day any harder than it already is dealing with these freak shows.
Does that say resist tyranny or resist tranny?
You're sick, then you're sick. Just stop, please.
Go ahead. Here you go. Have the mic.
Stop, man. Just give it up.
Okay.
Give it up. Yeah. Why don't you answer some questions?
Yeah. I know.
Anybody.
Aren't you glad that you guys show the world how loving and tolerant you are?
Why do Texas State Troopers look like Boy Scouts?
Comes out and everybody can see how hate-filled this movement is. So here was the speech I was going to give. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all Americans. And even though we have different points of view and different ideology, you have your first.
It's not even a different point of view.
I have First Amendment rights to be here. And
I mean, I support their First Amendment right to, say what they want, but man, can you look
and we all can agree that there's
dumber
corruption we all want to get rid of. So let's.
They can't answer a single question. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Trump's against immigrants. He's not against immigrants.
I appreciate you letting me speak. We're all Americans.
A lot of immigrants that I know support Trump.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Infowars.com/show.
Go to the AlexJonesStore.com.
Hey, it's Alex Jones. What do you know?
Ultimate turmeric.
So, what do you guys think about all that? What do you think about their inability to answer any type of question? Their inability to hold a conversation. This is what liberals have become. This is why you got your butts kicked, people. Because there's some people that were on the other side, and when they were asked the questions, they actually have a brain and they used it. And they said, well, why can't I answer that question? How is Trump a fascist? How is he like Hitler? Let's see, who's more like Hitler? Trump? Let's see, what did Hitler do? We know Hitler tried to suppress speech, kind of like the Twitter files, right? What we saw the Democrats did with social media companies. They put pressure on them to suppress what? Conservative speech. Well, if you think about it, if you wage war, if you wage a war against another country and you go in and you want to disrupt and take over that country, one of the first things that you're going to do is you're going to take out their means of communication. So what did they do? They took out our means of communication. They banned us on Facebook. They banned us on social platforms. They made it so that we couldn't communicate with each other in today's way of communicating. They took that away. Yet, the liberals were allowed to say anything they wanted to on Twitter. And we found out that almost everything they were pushing was a lie. How did that work out for them? Let's see. See how many lies we can get. Write them in the comments if you're listening to me. What are some of the lies? Let's go through them. Let's see. We have. Let's start with COVID. So with COVID lies, let's see. The vaccine works. That was a lie, right? Because everybody that was getting the vaccine, they said, "Oh, if you get the vaccine, you'll save grandma because now you can't get COVID, and you can't get COVID. Not only can you not get COVID, but you can't transmit COVID." And then everybody went out and they got that vaccine, which, by the way, that vaccine that you got for free really wasn't free, was it? Who was paying for it? Oh, taxpayers. You see, Pfizer still made a ton of money. How did they make that ton of money? The government gave it to them. And why did you have government officials, mostly Democrats, why did you have government officials, and Trump did it too. Trump, when he had Operation Warp Speed, I think it was, he was talking about the vaccine at a rally, and what happened? See, Trump supporters, we're not just go along with this guy and we're going to listen to anything he says. When Trump mentioned the vaccine at his rally, everybody booed him. Trump got booed at his own rally by MAGA people. And what did Trump do? He changed. He switched. He listened to his people. That's what good politicians do. They listen to what their people are asking. This is what we want from you. This is what we need from you. And when it's not that Trump comes out with something and he creates a marketing campaign like the Democrats. Oh, we need to market Kamala Harris to you. No. You see, the way that the new Republican Party works, and I say new Republican Party because myself, I was an independent. I was an independent. And I can call myself an independent because I am not a Republican. I am not somebody who would have voted for Dick Cheney. I'm not somebody who would have voted for any of the neoconservative movement. All of these neocons who are into this whole idea of warmongering, starting wars all over the place to make it so that money floods into taxpayer money, floods into the military-industrial complex. It's no different than what the Democrats we just uncovered in this whole USAID thing. It's no different than what we just found them doing. The Republicans were doing the same thing. But this Republican Party that's there now, that's not the Republican Party that used to be back in the year 2000. That's not the same party. All those people got kicked out. Why do you think George Bush, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, why do you think they were over on the other side of the aisle with the Democrats? Why do you think George Bush didn't endorse Trump and he ended up endorsing Biden? Because the Republican Party has changed. It's not a Republican Party anymore. It's MAGA. It's Make America Great Again. It's Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan, some people will say, well, Ronald Reagan, he was one of those types of guys as well. So, Hang on one second, guys. I just got a notice over on my TikTok. I have to move a puzzle piece or something to keep my my live going. It says the live's going to end in about 3 minutes, and there's 2 puzzle pieces. Okay, so 2 puzzle pieces, and I get to continue my broadcast. I'm glad you're still with me. If you're still with me, thank you. I know this is turning into a little longer than I expected. I just wanted to come in and play the video, but these people are just so deranged, and nothing that they have 0 facts. They back up that it's all lies. Trump's against immigrants. Trump is not against immigrants. I believe his wife is an immigrant. And people that are for Trump are against immigrants. Well, my wife was an immigrant. My wife was an immigrant, meaning that my ex-wife, I should say, was an immigrant. So are we against immigrants? No. 90% of the people that I'm surrounded with in my daily life were immigrants. I'm 100% for immigrants. Some of them were undocumented. Most of them came here on visas. In other words, they were vetted. The ones who come here and are undocumented, they know that they're taking a chance when they come here. They're risking that. They understand that it's a risk. They understand that they're breaking the laws and that if they get caught, they go home. They understand that. They decided to take the risk. But when the floodgates opened, and I'll tell you a story, I'll make it short, but for me, I've seen situations where families are separated because when you're trying to bring people here legally, the system that normally took 6 months under Donald Trump took 4 years. 4 years. I was waiting as a sponsor. I was waiting for sponsorship. I was waiting for sponsorship of my ex-wife's son, trying to get him here from Brazil. And for 4 years, it just kept running through a system where nobody calls you back. They always say that they're going to elevate it. And if nobody calls you in 30 days, call back. And in 30 days, you call back and they say, okay, we're going to elevate this. I sent out an email. Somebody should call you. If nobody calls you in 30 days, give us a call back. Yeah. That was the script. And that's what it was, a script. Finally, and the reason why I say I'm an independent people, over in New Hampshire, there's a guy over there. His name's Chris Pappas. He's a Democrat. You know, when he ran, I was against him. I made all kinds of stuff. I took one of his commercials online. I put a filter on it, turned him into a clown, reproduced that, put it online. I was pretty nasty to this guy. I hated what these people were standing for over there, and I wanted to change. I wanted to get that out of our government. But I'll tell you what, Chris Pappas will always have my vote, no matter what he's running for. If he runs for president, I will vote for this guy. This guy called us up personally, not his office, not some runner, not somebody, no emails, no nothing. He called. And he kept checking in. Sometimes every week, sometimes once a month. But he brought us through for a year until he finally got the paperwork done. And it was because of him that my paperwork was done. So when I say I'm an independent, yeah, I see when there's good people on both sides. You know, like Trump said, yeah, there's good people on both sides, right? Oh, Nazi. Oh, no, I just got flagged on TikTok for misinformation. Really? My misinformation. Not, oh, I wonder if the misinformation that I just got flagged for on TikTok, I wonder if the misinformation was from the things that the Democrats were saying. I probably should have flagged their content because they were spouting a lot of misinformation. Oh, man. And this is what we have to deal with, trying to get the information out. TikTok is still one of those platforms that just can't get it right. You know, we broadcast on Rumble. We broadcast on YouTube, but YouTube, you know, I'm kind of questioning. I'll probably get flagged on there too. But if we do, you can follow us on Rumble. Rumble lets you say whatever you want, and we're also on X, people. X. We're allowed to speak the truth on X, and it's not labeled misinformation. You know, if they want to label it misinformation on TikTok, at least put it out to the rest of the people and let them put a disclaimer on it, kind of like what X does. You know, at least Mark Zuckerberg came around. And, you know, for whatever reason he did that, maybe he was afraid of legal repercussions. Maybe he was afraid of repercussions from the Trump administration coming down on him. But I believe that the Biden administration put a lot of pressure on him and maybe even threatened him with being canceled or jail or whatever. It's exactly what they were doing to Elon Musk when he took over Twitter. I guarantee you Zuckerberg just kind of caved to that type of pressure and said, okay, what do you want us to do? And that's what they did. And when they created these fact checkers, and the fact checkers we now know were funded through USAID, the government was paying them to fact check in a particular way, which is why that misinformation just got flagged on TikTok. Now, I don't know. I'm still showing. It's still running on TikTok. I'm still showing viewers on there. I'm still showing all kinds of stuff. I don't know if they can what they can see. I don't know. Maybe they're still allowing it to. Maybe they're still allowing it to play. I don't know. I'll have to wait until after I'm done here. But that's my rant for tonight, people. I don't know. I'll get here again, and the next week I've read a whole bunch of news articles done up, stuff that I found during the day, and that's what I was going to come on here and do. And then I saw that video, and I was like, man, it just, you look at these people, and you wonder, what on earth? Like, is it a brain worm? How on earth could these people be so brainwashed? And can you unbrainwash them? And what's crazy is they think that, you know, they look at us and they think that we are. But yet we'll sit and tell you, you can ask us anything. We'll give you the answers. We're not going to bang a cowbell in your face and be like, yeah, we don't need to answer you. Don't talk to him. No, we want to answer you because we want to give you truth. And we'll give you the truth as opposed to the lies. You know, with the vaccine not working the way that they said it was going to work. Oh, maybe that's the misinformation. Maybe I needed to say the way that they said it was going to work. You know, the vaccine being, you know, they said that it was supposed to stop you from getting COVID. They said that you weren't supposed to be able to transmit it. And then they found out that, you know, that what they found when they tested it on the 5 mice, that was their testing. 5 mice. 5 mice. And then you got it. You took it. Is it a wonder why all of those health conditions started popping up all over the world? People collapsing. What is it, myocarditis? But what else? How about the masks? They had everybody wearing these masks, these cloth masks that did absolutely nothing. They were selling those like hotcakes. And then it was about, the origins of COVID, because it came from a wet market because people eat bats there. Yeah. And who did that? It was Fauci, right? Fauci. He was the guy who was dealing with the NIH. Oh, his wife happens to be the person in charge of the NIH who happens to say where the funds for the NIH go, which is absolutely crazy when you think that the Obama administration, I should say Obama and Biden, gave Fauci $7 million, of which $3.7 million of it was earmarked for a lab, a biolab in Wuhan. This was in 2014, people. And coincidentally, in 2014, this was right after we had all of these experiments going on. I believe it was in the Carolinas. And we stopped gain-of-function research. We made it illegal in this country. So what did they do? They outsourced it. They outsourced it to China. They outsourced it, in particular, to Wuhan. And let's take a look at what, we call it COVID, but what is it? What's the scientific name for it? SARS-CoV, CoV-2. What was, if that's SARS-CoV-2, what's SARS-CoV-1? Oh, we call this COVID, but SARS, we called SARS because it was SARS-CoV-1. And who was the doctor in charge of SARS? Oh, that was Dr. Fauci. Yes, it was. Why did Donald Trump think that hydroxychloroquine worked? That would be because Dr. Fauci, who was the doctor in charge of SARS-CoV-1, also the doctor in charge of SARS-CoV-2 when it mysteriously made its way onto the global stage from a lab in Wuhan that we funded. How is it that when Fauci was working on SARS-CoV-1, he found that hydroxychloroquine worked? That is why Trump made that statement. Trump didn't make that statement out of the blue. Trump is not a doctor. Trump would not have come up with that in his own head. That wasn't something that he just said. That was something that when they were having their meetings was said to him. And he was repeating it. And who would have said that? I guarantee you it was Dr. Fauci. You see, I was one of the first people infected. I was infected in March of 2020. First people in the entire country. And it was right after that convention in Boston. And I'll tell you what, they brought me down to Mass General. Mass General is one of the best hospitals in the entire country, people. Mass General in Boston. And they had an entire area already that they had cordoned off because they were expecting a pandemic. There was nobody. Mass General is an extremely busy hospital. When they brought me in, it was a ghost town. It was a ghost town just in this part because they had shut it down. And when they brought me in, they poked me, they prodded me, they sent me upstairs. They had these hazmat suits on because nobody knew what it was at that point. And I remember they brought me, it was actually, I think, the top floor in the hospital, overlooking all of Boston. If it was a hotel room, it would have been insane. $1,000 a night, at least. And I'm like, man, is this where they bring people to die? Now, I didn't have a spleen. I had a spleen taken out. And if you're wondering why I had a spleen taken out, why I had my spleen taken out, it was because I had thrombocytopenia. And for those of you that don't know, that's one of the side effects of a vaccine, possible side effects of a vaccine, in particular, COVID vaccine. I didn't get mine from the COVID vaccine. I got mine when I was a kid from the MMR. Particular batch that went out, my generation, males in particular, a spike in thrombocytopenia. And I was one of the kids that got it. And years later, they took my spleen out to correct that. My platelet counts. Thrombocytopenia, for those of you that don't know, is low blood platelets. Social distancing. Yes, Mark. Social distancing. That was the biggest farce. They had no idea about it. Dr. Fauci actually mentioned that was like they just made it up. But when they took my spleen out, my platelets came back up. My spleen was what it was antibodies were attaching themselves to my platelets. Your spleen acts like a filter system, and it was filtering it out, and it was attacking all of my platelets and killing my platelets. And what ended up happening when I got my spleen taken out, I had 3 opinions, and all 3 were different. All 3 doctors said something different. I had a hematologist back then and a couple of different doctors. And they told me, you have to take antibiotics all the time. Now, I knew that wasn't right. That's not correct, because if you take it all the time, the bacteria, the only bacteria that grows in you is bacteria that is resistant to it. There's always a percentage of bacteria that's resistant to the antibiotics. And what you don't want is to overtake antibiotics, because then all it does is builds up a bacteria that's resistant to those antibiotics. So then you have, somebody that said, oh, you don't need antibiotics. I was like, okay, so that's the other end extreme. And then the other doctor said, well, just take it when you get sick. And I was like, okay. So when I get sick, I can get really sick, because now I don't have the spleen that kind of helps your immune system, helps you to get better. But when I got COVID, everybody thought I was going to die. I remember talking to family members on the phone and hearing people crying. And I was alone, because they wouldn't let anybody in. I was alone in the hospital. And they had me on the oxygen machine, laying on my stomach, trying to breathe right. The doctor came in, I remember. He came in and he's standing on the other side of the room. He doesn't want to get close to me. And he's asking me, he says, hey, we got something we want to try with you. And I was like, sure. I was like, isn't everything trying? This thing's like new, right? It's novel. So everything was trying. And I remember he came in with this concoction of like pills and stuff. And a lot of it was like vitamin D, it was zinc. For those of you that remember those Z-Packs. But one of the things in particular at the time, when I first got sick, it was March of 2020, and then early April is when I was in the hospital. And what they gave me hydroxychloroquine. This was before there was a big controversy over it. I didn't even know that there was going to be a controversy over it. And I came out pretty much like 2 days later. When they gave me that concoction, it was like the next day I was right as rain. Like I couldn't even get up and walk. That's how depleted my system was. And what got me to the hospital was I collapsed in the shower. Collapsed. Like I just remember tunnel vision and then everything going black. And I remember not being able to breathe. And when they came, they took me over there and they gave me that hydroxychloroquine. It was like a miracle drug. Boom, next day. And I remember somebody that I work with, and probably I was the one that probably got him sick because, and I say that only because the night that I was at work, that's the night I started not feeling so good. And the area that I went to was the area that he worked in. Anyway, he ended up going in. He had all the same issues. He was, he didn't have an issue with a spleen, but he was, he had some issues. He's overweight. Now, men of color, they said, COVID attacked men of color even more so. So he was black, overweight, diabetes, whole 9 yards. They gave him, he ended up at Mass General as well. And this was before, like I said, before the controversy with Trump mentioning hydroxychloroquine. And he had the same exact thing to say. They gave it to him. The next day, he was right as rain. Now, I remember coming home, and it was like 2 days later, and I called, the doctor called, and they were like, oh, okay, how you feeling? Yada, yada. And I had all kinds of people calling me, periodically after that to track how we were feeling. And I remember asking the question 2 days later. I had come home, and I said, well, when can I go back to work? And they said, oh, you can go back to work now. I was like, I can go back to work now? They have no idea. They have no clue if I can still transmit this stuff. Or maybe they did. Maybe they knew about this already. But they said, you can go back to work. And of course, I called my work and I said, hey, the doctor said that I'm good to go. I'm good to come back. And of course, your work always wants you to come back when you're out on any type of medical leave. But nobody wanted me to come back. They were like, are you sure? You should probably stay out another week. These people were scared. I don't blame them. And when I came back, people didn't want to come near me. It was like you had the plague. Everybody was scared, but everybody was curious at the same time. They wanted to understand, well, what happened to you? But what was insane was what transpired after I get out. I was like, oh, I need to tell everybody because everybody's so curious about it. I'm telling the same story over and over. So what did I do? I put it online. And I got flagged and banned for putting my own personal story online. Why? Well, because the people who fund our politicians had them put pressure on the social media companies to make it so that you couldn't say those things. You couldn't let people know about hydroxychloroquine saving your life. Why? Because hydroxychloroquine is cheap, people. And they were trying to sell a vaccine. They were trying to, and, I remember researching some of this a while back when this first started back in 2020, and I'm pretty sure I came across what appeared to be patents for these vaccines. I don't know if it was just the mRNA technology or what, but it looked like it went back to 2016. And I can't remember who the company was. Maybe it was the Bayer Corporation. The same corporation that they got in trouble for shipping blood tainted with the AIDS virus all over the planet back in the 80s. But yeah, that's my COVID story, and that is my story of how their lies were pushed onto us, and they're still trying to push their lies onto us. But the good thing about that is a lot of people woke up. A lot of people are no longer believing their lies. How can you have a party who you have somebody out there who is saying, hey, look, they're robbing the bank. And everybody goes, get them. But they're not pointing at the bank robber. They're pointing at the guy who's pointing out that there's a guy robbing the bank. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that's who the Democrats have become. How is that? I don't know. All I do know is that an awful lot of people are in our camp now. And we need to keep it that way. They're putting all of this negative stuff out there about Elon. Elon wasn't elected. Nope. Neither was Fauci. Fauci wasn't elected. Who elected Fauci? Did you vote for Fauci? Elon's acting like a dictator. Fauci acted like a dictator. These are things that were under the scope of their jobs. Maybe it shouldn't have been done, but they still did it. Fauci was able to do it. Why? It was within the scope. And guess what? Elon's doing the same thing. He is no different than Fauci and what Fauci did. But the biggest difference is what Fauci did was dishonest. What Elon is doing is getting rid of the people who are dishonest. He's exposing them. He's shining a light on them. I will take Elon over Fauci every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Anyway, maybe I'll come up with a whole list of the lies of the left. Actually, I think I did. I actually did. I put one out a while ago, and I remember some of the things like the migrants being whipped. Remember that? They were saying that the border agents were whipping migrants. Yeah, didn't happen. How about the migrants? You know, they said there's no crisis at the border. Oh, yeah, there's a crisis at the border, but they think that they can just repeat something. This was it Hitler that said this? Repeat it so many times, and the people will believe it. And don't make the lies little lies. Make them big. And they'll believe it. The more you repeat it, people will repeat it. And other people will believe it because everybody's repeating it. Nobody's doing their own fact checking. But I don't know. That's my rant for tonight. I tried to cut it short before. I kept talking. So I'm going to cut this now. If you're still here, appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share all of our platforms. If you're on YouTube, make sure you check us out on YouTube. If you're on, let's see, what are all my things here? Facebook. We got America's Tribune on Facebook. We got America's Tribune on YouTube. We got America's Tribune on X. We have America's Tribune on Instagram. And we have America's Tribune on Rumble. And it's funny because America's Tribune on TikTok got blasted. And I just realized I'm trying to look at the broadcast here on Instagram, and it's showing up all funky. Is that how it shows up for you guys? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if there's something I can do different, something that's not working. I'm kind of going based off of what you guys tell me. So, but let me know, and I appreciate you. For now, good night. God bless, and I will see you on the other side. Thanks.